you beautiful legends, and welcome again to Blunt Force Healing Podcast. And this is episode and at the same time day streak number 475. Apologies for the shadow and weird lighting on my face, but I'm currently driving, as you can see, and this Saturday I decided to go against the grain and attempt again to tackle Croix Hakulin, which is, for those of you that listen or watch the actual journal and you were reading the blog or listening to the podcast in the last couple of days, you already know what that peak or summit is. But for those of you that are new to the channel and to the blog, let me just quickly explain. So I live in Ireland, and specifically in Donegal County, which is pretty much so remote that if you look at the map, it's almost like detached from the Republic of Ireland. If you know how the island of Ireland looks like, it's divided into majority, which is Republic and Irish land, and then up north, most of the north and northeast is Northern Ireland, which belongs to the United Kingdom. And Donegal is kind of remaining western part of the north side of Ireland. So it has just a very narrow piece of, well, it's not so narrow because it's probably a couple of like 20 or 30 kilometers in width, but on the map it looks like barely holding the Donegal County, which still belongs to Republic of Ireland, which is just commonly named Ireland. And it has some advantages and disadvantages, obviously. There's no big difference because of that division to Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland, because there are treaties and specific laws that blend well Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland, unlike the rest of the United Kingdom, or the UK as you call it, because England, as you know, went through Brexit. They went solo, I would say, or they went for exit and are no longer part of the European Union. I won't be discussing political side or if it was their preference or not. There was some referendum. Majority decided in that referendum to exit European Union. Whether they like it or not, or if it was a good or bad decision, that's for debate between people. I do not engage in those type of things. Decisions were made, and I always say that there's no good or bad decisions, there are only decisions and actions, and it's the results that are bad or good or mixture of both. And this is exactly what happened to the UK. There are advantages and disadvantages to the Brexit. But on island of Ireland, because of the history and how British Empire or United Kingdom kind of left Ireland on their own to some extent, historically Irish people fought for their independence and got most of the island for themselves, which is the Republic of Ireland, or Ireland in short. Whatever is left, the Belfast area, and as I said, middle, north and northeast side of the island is still Northern Ireland, which is effectively the UK, United Kingdom. But the blending together, because of the treaties, legislations, any laws that were applied to it, makes it almost seamless. So The only difference is when you live in Northern Ireland, you're part of the UK, so some of the Irish laws don't apply to you and you need to kind of follow whatever UK follows. And obviously when you cross the border, there's no such thing like customs or border checks. It's seamless. The only difference you will see when you cross the border is basically that there are minute details in terms of how, for example, speed limits are displayed. You will immediately see that while in Ireland we operate the metric system, so you can see kilometers per hour limits, then you will start seeing lower numbers once you cross the border in Northern Ireland, because they use the imperial measurements, so they measure miles per kilometer limits. So if you will go, for example, with the national road that has, let's say, 100 kilometers per hour limit, and you cross the border, you won't see it because there's no visual border, but you might see the sign "Welcome to County Omagh," for example, which is Northern Ireland, and you will start seeing limits that are, for example, 60 instead of 100. But this is because 60 is more or less equivalent to 100 kilometers per hour, but it's in miles per hour. So the colors of the sign might be slightly different. The shades of green or blue might not be used. Some names might be slightly different, but this is basically what you will see the difference. Unless you step into the shop where you start paying in pounds, sterlings, instead of euro, which is paid in Ireland. So there are very minute details, and if you're not aware of them and you just travel through Ireland, you almost not see the difference. So that blending is very convenient, and I just decided to give you too long a lesson, a history lesson or geographical lesson of how Ireland is deployed. So I diverged a lot from what the topic was. I live in County Donegal, which is for some considered one of the most beautiful places in Ireland. Of course, it's for debate, because some people think that Kerry is more beautiful than Donegal, or that any other county might be, according to some people, nicer, but it's again a matter of taste. But the fact is that Donegal has a lot to offer in terms of nature, mountains, cliffs, ocean views, some woodlands, lakes, and generally very nice areas where you can relax and enjoy nature. The downside of Donegal County is that we have much less access to certain amenities. We still have obviously the shops, supermarkets, etc., but because there's no larger cities in Donegal County, then you won't have as much of an access to shopping centers or things like that. And obviously you might need to travel closer to, let's say, Dublin or Cork or Galway area to get that larger city vibe and more amenities. But in general, we still have Letterkenny, which is fairly big town, and most of the things can be bought there or accessed. And these days we don't care as much, because a lot of things can be sorted online, remotely, or ordered online from the shops. So it's not a big deal, like it would be probably back in the days when internet wasn't so advanced as it is now. Why did I start with Donegal? Because there's a lot of mountains, or actually more of a hills of a decent size, plus some mountains. But in general, we just say Blue Stack Mountains because there is a couple of peaks that cross 600 and 700 meters barrier, which accounts for a defined mountain. And also we have a couple of other mountains up north, Donegal County. But in general, yes, this is a beautiful county. We moved here with my family, my wife and my son, in 2022, so a year and a half ago, and we enjoyed thoroughly. I am currently driving towards what I mentioned, Croagh Culin, which is not a mountain in a definition terms, because it has about 400 meters, just above 400 meters height. But I mentioned in the previous episode that mountains and hills in Ireland have their own sets of challenges that can cause a lot of people a lot of hassle. And if you misjudge or belittle those hills, you might be up for a surprise, because a lot of people underestimated them and ended up being either rescued or actually their bodies recovered from those mountains. I am currently close to Killybegs, which is a port town in County Donegal, and I will be shortly turning towards the mountains, or the actual massif where Croagh Culin is, and I will be trying to conquer it or get to the summit today, which will be very tight. It's 2:15 p.m, so I have roughly about 2 hours from now to climb it up and down. I might have about half an hour buffer in terms of daylight, because even after sunset, almost until 5 o'clock, I should be able to see a lot. So it is doable, I think, but Croagh Culin has a set of challenges that other popular peaks or summits don't have. Basically, it's pretty much inaccessible. There's no trail, no direct routes, or any type of beaten path to get to Croagh Culin's summit, the main one or the twin one, because there are two peaks differing probably very little in terms of height, so it's like a two-headed mountain or hill. So I will try to get both, because they are not far from each other, probably about 500 to 600 meters apart. So if I get to the top, there is no point not securing the other peak too. So that's the goal. I will record the rest of the episode, because it's 14 minutes already. I will record the rest of it either when I'm back from the approach, and maybe I will record a short segment when I reach, and if I reach the top. Last time I misjudged the time that I have and the amount of reconnaissance that I needed to do, and I didn't even attempt the approach. So this is, I would say, take 2, and let's see if it pans out. For now, that's it, and I'll be back shortly. Here it is, beautiful hill. As you can see, it has 2 summits. All that massive is one big hill of Krahakulin. There's a little lake there, Aroshin, that is more of a retention lake that provides water to the surrounding areas. And Noknapisht is just behind it, so there's quite a big hill as well. But today it's this beast. It looks quite challenging, and I have roughly an hour to get to the top, and that will leave me with about an hour to get down. Descent should be faster, but it depends on if I will be retracking or retracing my footsteps on the way up, or if I will find something easier. So I always account for similar time up and down, at least to ensure that I still come down in daylight. So let me jog on and see if I can get to the top. And hello you cuties, I hope you can hear me, because it's obviously a lot windier than at the bottom. I'm about 300 and something meters up, so there's just those faces, but it should be fairly smooth. You can see Donegal Bay in the distance, a bit of ponds collecting here. The Loch Aroshin is not visible. I don't remember the name of this lake. There's a little tower-like thing here. If you want to see it from close up, you can go to my Instagram and you will see a short reel with this. But this is it. The most difficult part was that face. It was pretty steep, at times impossible to climb, just a vertical wall. But I found some paths of the local animals, like sheep, so I used them. There is rain coming, I'm afraid, so I need to hurry up to get there fast. I think I will be soaking wet after this. So here I am, beautiful legends. It's not as windy as I was expecting, but it was tough regardless. I was expecting a bit of toughness here, but even that caught me off guard, and a couple of things were here that I wasn't expecting. You can see the beautiful sunset there and the Kraunerad in the back. It's on my list, one of the next peaks. I'll check this peak here, this one, because I think it might be higher, but this one is 405 meters. So this is exactly it. It's in the area where maps are showing me the Krahakulig officially. So I placed this beautiful quartz stone that I found along the way as my own stack or mark here. You can see beautiful 360 views, Donegal Bay, windmill farms, everything around me. It's just amazing. Lovely hill, only 405 meters, but I would say it's quite spectacular, to be honest. And it's nice to know that it's not crowded or not very well climbed to, because you know, there's no trail. I had to jump over the barbed wire once as well. It was a fresh fence, so somebody was fencing it down there. But you know, it's just to keep the sheep away from the other side of the hill, I guess. But other than that, you know, not many people seem to come here, so it's a great place to be. All right, let me just hit the last check, and I need to find a way down, because definitely I'm not coming back the same way. It's too far, and I need to find some reasonable descent, which will be very hard to handle within the time. I already have 1 hour and 22 minutes, so I'm short about 10-15 minutes against the time that I was expecting. so I need to go. I'll be back shortly. Dirty as a dog and happy as a dog. I have a scone just to get some energy back. I'm already on the normal road, which I decided to cut through the woodlands and push through the much more difficult area and through branches, slow branches, very boggy and uneven surface, but I was aware that I need to risk it because the time is, as you can see, it's getting darker and dusky, so I didn't want to get to the forest or stay in the forest when it gets dark. Even though I had a phone and GPS with me, you know, the battery in one phone was almost dead, is almost dead. It's tracking my progress on all trails, and the other one is fine, so I could potentially use it as a torch, but I didn't want to, you know, stay too long after the sunset. And the funny bit is, here it is where I started. Really, the place where I started exactly is just around the corner, if there's any corner. So I hope you liked it. I did enjoy it, finally. I hope I will do many more hikes in 2024, because during such hike where there is no trail, I find myself being challenged every couple of minutes, because you need to find a way. There's no just a well-beaten track and you just walk, so the only effort is you walking, and which is still an exercise, but it's just walking. While here I climbed this face. This is the place where I started. I went into that little clearing and then went through the forest, which was straight away, I would say probably halfway through that forest, my feet were wet already. And I was afraid that it would be very cold up there, and I might get, you know, slightly chilly, but it was all good. That face looks scary now, I see it. And if I imagine, I realized that I climbed it. It looks impossible from this side. But there was a way to go up, and I'm happy that I did. Probably if I would go second time and would want to just reach Krahakulin main peak without this first one that is just up there, I would probably start from different point, but this seemed reasonable. I don't think that many people would like it because I am all wet and dirty, so I need a shower, drop the clothes into the washing machine, and get to the kitchen to make our dinner today, because I feel like I'm not getting away from it. It was my turn yesterday. We took some takeaway, pizza, and I don't think my wife would be happy with takeaway 2 times in a row, especially that there's not much of a selection here in Donegal. So yeah, I'm not sure how many minutes I recorded before, so I might need to first time edit those videos a little bit if they are beyond 30 minutes, because Spotify has a limit of 30 minutes. Full video, obviously stitched together, will be or is available on YouTube once I publish it. So if you're watching a video that is longer than 30 minutes, that means that you're probably watching on YouTube. if you're watching on Spotify and it's 30 minutes, then if you're interested, if there is a difference between both, check YouTube. If there is a longer video there, if there is, that means that on Spotify you missed a couple of bits and you can see the full-length video on YouTube. So for now, that's it. I won't be recording anything else, and tomorrow we drive to Dublin, so it will be one of those stormy days, but this hike boosted my energy for a good couple of days. I feel rejuvenated and a little bit more hopeful that I will be climbing more this year, because last year was a very low key in terms of hikes and climbs. For now, that's it. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching my incredible adventure today. Have a great rest of the day, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. Stay tuned and see you again tomorrow.